How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. My name's Gianluca and I'm a final year medical student studying in Canada, like most of the time. Like 99% of the time, that's what you're gonna find me doing. Now, in today's video though, we get to talk about that remaining 1%. So here's the iPhone 13. This is my iPhone 13, and if I wanted to, I could talk to you guys for 15 minutes about how much I love everything to do with this phone. The video camera especially, and the standalone cameras, or the three that come with the iPhone 13 Pro. The cameras on this phone will do 4K in 60 frames per second, which is a pretty big deal, and will do a whole bunch of other things as well. This has been my exclusive camera that I've used for filming anything that I really need to, from YouTube to pleasure videos, ever since that I first got it. But a few months ago, I was planning a trip to Norway to snorkel with the wild killer whales in Norway, which was an amazing trip. But at the time, I wanted to know whether or not I would be able to get by using my iPhone 13 underwater as my exclusive underwater camera. So that's what this video is going to be about. It's going to be a review of whether or not I think you could use your iPhone 13 underwater as your primary camera. And spoiler alert, depending on what you're doing, the answer is probably yes. So first things first, Apple says that the new iPhone 13 models, all four of them, have been rated IP68, meaning that they should be able to survive up until 6 meters or about 18 feet underwater for 30 minutes. Now that's impressive. That is what Apple says. Call it trust issues though, call it whatever you want. I was not prepared to take my brand new iPhone 13 18 feet underwater for the first time without any additional protection. So I did jump onto Amazon very quickly and bought this. It's just a very simple, this one's called Pro Case, but there are a million different companies that make these things here. And these little plastic bags, they seal, they're watertight at the top. And the companies that make these guarantee waterproof rating up until about 100 feet underwater, which is really deep. Like many times where I go scuba diving, we will not go down to 100 feet. There are times where we'll go beyond that, but I think that it's amazing that this little case is supposedly able to let you take your phone all the way down to the bottom of the ocean. Now, as for the rest of my underwater iPhone setup, we have this beast slash monstrosity right here that I made myself back in the day. A little bit of backstory about me. Underwater videography, oceanography is something that I have a lot of fun with. We've done sharks, we've done sea lions, and now more recently getting into orcas and whales and things like that has really kept me busy, and it's been something that's really awesome. We made this out of PVC piping that I got from Home Depot, and then I spray painted 2 little shark decals in red onto my rig for added style points when you're out with all these other people that have like setups that cost, you know, anywhere from hundreds to literal thousands of dollars for their rig. And these sharks are my favorite thing about this, I think. So the way that this works is you get your rig. This little piece comes additionally on Amazon. You can get for like 20 bucks. Then you drop your iPhone inside this plastic case. Plastic case goes on top of here. You take it underwater, and let me just go ahead and say, this thing held up all the way. I tested it to about 25 feet. There were no leaks in this bag at all. For $11, anyone considering getting one of these, highly recommend it. This thing works great. So now that we've seen the setup, let me show you some of the footage that I got from the iPhone 13 underwater, which you'll see. I'll have it up on screen right now. This is all shot exclusively on the iPhone 13. I probably will go ahead and try and touch it up a little bit. Maybe I'll show you some before and after touch-ups. I think the footage looks amazing compared to my GoPro 10, for example, which I've also been testing as well. I thought the footage from the iPhone, in my opinion, actually looks better for underwater video for the most part. And there are some limitations we'll talk about in a bit, but I think that it is very impressive for what Apple's been able to do, not only with their videography on top of the water, which is well regarded as some of the best videography from any mobile phone device, but underwater, to get this level of quality and clarity is incredible. I couldn't believe it the first time that I tried it out. Now, the footage that you're seeing right now was filmed in Florida, South Florida, at a location called the Blue Heron Bridge. I was about 20 feet underwater when I was filming, and you'll see how it varies throughout the water column. The water was pretty murky that day. The conditions were definitely not the best, but again, the pro of the iPhone there is that it brings a lot of the video quality from it gets on top of the water, and the sensors that the iPhone uses and its ability to really focus on the things that you need it to, it brings that down to the bottom too, and it shows just the different layers. When fish pass in front of it, there is almost a little bit of depth that the iPhone is able to create with footage instead of the GoPro footage, which in my experience, even with some of the newer models, it's gotten a lot better, but there still is almost like a flat, an inability to focus on what you need it to. So then, good things about using your iPhone for underwater videography. Number one, it's cheap. You don't have to buy a new camera. Number two, it looks great, especially on the best of conditions. You're gonna get footage that is at least as good as some of the newer model GoPros, or in some cases even better than that. And then then finally, I thought that the phone held up very well up to 25 feet with this little bit of an additional plastic case for $11. I've yet to test it scuba diving to 60 feet, but if any one of you have in the past and want to leave that in the comment section below, feel free to do that. Now the cons though, and this is where it gets really unfortunate, is that if you're not using it for a snorkeling capacity under the best of conditions, using your iPhone underwater as your primary video camera device is going to be very difficult, I would say, for the most part. First of all, because of the way that iPhone focuses, because of the way that the video camera focuses on different things depending on what it believes you to be trying to capture on your screen, for example, it tries to do that underwater. I did notice that if you start videotaping on top of the water, for example, and then you bring it under the water, that transition, it doesn't know how to focus, and for that reason, the footage comes out really crappy after that. If you're going to use your iPhone underwater to film things and you want it to come out good, you have to start recording when the phone is already underwater. And I tried a whole bunch of different fixes around this. I tried to lock the focus. I tried to focus things underwater by tapping on the screen, but the screen is totally unresponsive underwater. And I just found that is the only thing that works. You need to bring the phone underwater before you start recording. Another thing, because the screen is unresponsive underwater, the only way to start and stop footage is by pushing the volume button on the side of your iPhone, which is really not that big of a deal if you really think about it. It's just a small little button you have to push. But because you can't use the touchscreen, you're going to find there's a bit of a learning curve to using your phone underwater in terms of filming. And then finally, the last con, this is more of a comparison to GoPro. Reasons why having a GoPro, at least for now, I don't think that having the newest quality iPhone could replace the GoPro just yet, for the reason of durability. The phone does still feel more fragile, and for that reason, I didn't end up using it when I was in Norway videotaping the orcas. There was a lot of transition from going to the big boat we were on, to the little Zodiacs, to chasing the orcas out into the fjords, jumping into the water, and all these little transition points. The GoPro could get smacked around all you want, and it doesn't break. The thing is indestructible. I can't tell you how many times, unfortunately, the GoPro got banged up against the side of the boat, and I know that if that was the case for the iPhone, thing would have shattered. After using both the iPhone and the GoPro, I've come to the conclusion that for underwater filming in the best of conditions, I'm thinking Hawaii, I'm thinking Costa Rica, I'm thinking Bali, water's clear, sunny day, you could definitely get away with using your iPhone. There's no reason why you need anything other than that. And the addition of this little case here for that little bit of added protection. I still don't feel totally comfortable taking my phone underwater for long periods of time. But if you're going to do something a little bit more extreme, the Arctic Circle, diving in the Arctic Circle has probably been one of the craziest things that I've done to date so far in terms of underwater videography. The phone is a no-go. And that's why I think that the answer as to whether or not you could use your iPhone exclusively for underwater videography comes to what do you need it for? That's my final conclusion that I've reached after testing it. I'd love to hear from you guys though. If anyone has used their phone underwater and what they think of the quality, and will they be making a switch away from GoPro to iPhone exclusively in the future, let me know. And thanks so much for stopping by for today's video, guys. Any questions at all, leave those in the comment section below too, and we'll see you all in the next one. So everyone take care.